Well, good morning. Good morning from Massachusetts. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and thank you for joining me. Happy New Year, everyone. I'm going to do a quick tech check, make sure that the audio and video are good on my laptop. You can let me know in the chat. Can you hear me well? Can you see me well? Then we'll get started. Looking good on my laptop. I see Stunning Lad 1. Hello, hello. Thank you for the nice stickers. And who's it? Abdel Aziz. Mustafa is completely excited and ready. Wonderful. You guys can tell me where you are watching from. It's always good to know where everyone is. We feel more connected to the world that way. And Happy New Year. This is our first live stream of 2025. Have you started studying English yet? Maybe this is the first thing that you're doing to start your studies in the new year. And I'm so happy that you're here with me. We're going to be doing 25 dictations today, short little sentences. And then my members, my channel members helped me choose what specifically we're going to focus on. And they voted for phrasal verbs. So we're going to have 25 dictations, and each sentence, each statement is going to make use of at least one phrasal verb. Phrasal verbs that we've studied together but probably need to review. So I'm excited to do that with you today. Let's check out the chat and see. Yes, everyone is here. Alan, I see you. Hello. Happy New Year to you. I wish you the best in 2025 as well. Edwin is here. Francisco, Happy New Year to you as well. Clarina is from Indonesia. Glad you're here. Hi, Jennifer Wong from Hong Kong. Thank you for staying up. I know it's evening, late evening for you. Julia is here from Myanmar. And Manuel, hello, hello. Glad you're taking time to be here. It's much warmer for you. It's cold outside here today. I stepped outside just before the live stream with my dog. We didn't have time to walk, so we're going to have to walk after the live stream, but it is chilly today. Longthang, I see you. Happy New Year to you. Mahmoud, oh my gosh, let me try this one. Madmadul, the random vlogger. I'm well, how are you? Good to see you all, right? Okay. So I usually jump into our live streams by sharing my screen, but today we're going to have 25 live streams. That would be funny, huh? 25 dictations, and probably it will take 30 to 60 minutes to get through them because we'll write them, check them, and then we'll comment on the phrasal verbs used in each dictation. I am going to use this opportunity to test your listening. Right now I'm speaking a little more carefully than I normally would, but when I read the dictations, I'll read each one at least twice. The first time I will read fast and natural to see if you can catch it. Some of you will be able to understand pretty much everything the first time, but here's the challenge that everyone can meet. Every time I read a new dictation, listen for the phrasal verb or verbs. There might be more than one. So that's what you're listening for. As soon as you hear it, write it in the chat. Okay? Then I'll read the statement again with more careful pronunciation. For those of you who are able to hear and type quickly enough, you can write it in the chat to confirm, okay? Then we'll make sure that everyone understands the meaning of the given phrasal verb. Got it? Okay. Hey, someone's joining from Russia. Good to have you here too. And Vitali has joined. Yep, Vitali, hello. Glad you're here. Kari 5350. Happy New Year to you there in Peru. Okay. All right, let me make sure that if I switch things around, you cannot see. Okay. So I can see my screen. Hopefully you can't. Let me scroll it this way so just in case. Okay, just need to quick check that. Okay, we are good to go. And I see someone from India. Hi, Rimya. Okay, here we go, guys. 25 dictations starting now. Number 1, listen. Can you hear the one phrasal verb? Number 1, when do you get back from your trip? More slowly. When do you get back from your trip? What's the phrasal verb? Aha, I got some fast typers there. I'm impressed. Get back. Get back means return. The full statement, when do you get back from your trip? When do you get back from your trip? Question mark. Fast, when do you get back from your trip? You can make sure as you review, look over the 25 statements and you can read them aloud for pronunciation practice because you want to see phrasal verbs, hear phrasal verbs, and use phrasal verbs. Phrasal verbs, the biggest challenge is probably meaning, like vocabulary. So you need to have a lot of exposures. You need to encounter these phrasal verbs multiple times. These are common ones that you should know. If you don't, learn them. Super. Yes, thank you. Stunning lad 1. Okay, here we go. Number 2. Listen for the one phrasal verb. I was so embarrassed. I wasn't sure if I could go on. Did you hear the one phrasal verb? More slowly. I was so embarrassed. I wasn't sure if I could go on. Excellent. Fairelvin Carr, Manuel, Go on. Here, go on means continue, proceed. A lot of the time, our phrasal verbs will have a one-word equivalent. That one-word equivalent is a bit more formal, more academic. That does not mean that you can't use phrasal verbs in an academic setting. You can. But in general, a lot of phrasal verbs create more of a conversational tone. Right? So that also helps you choose what kind of tone you want to use, what register. Okay. I was so embarrassed, I wasn't sure if I could go on. That was number 2. Super. Okay, number 3. Ready? Fast. You need to go out more and meet people. What was the one phrasal verb? More slowly. You need to go out more and meet people. More slowly. Okay, Vitali's saying that the audio is cutting in and out. I hope audio is clear for you. I just checked on my laptop. It still seems good. Go out literally is to leave a place. Often it means go outside of your home. You leave your home to do things, right? Go out means to be out in society, right? And socialize. You need to go out more and meet people. And fast speech again, you need to go out more and meet people. Thank you, Jennifer, for typing the full phrase, the full statement. Number 4. My colleague pointed out a problem. And more careful speech. My colleague pointed out a problem. What was that phrasal verb? Yes, Jennifer got it. And Abdelaziz Mustafa got it. Julia. I said it in the past tense, pointed out. My colleague pointed out a problem. When you point something out, literally, of course, you can point with your finger, but pointing it out is calling attention to something. You notice and comment on it. To point something out is to call attention to it. You notice it and you comment on it. So sometimes there isn't a direct one-word equivalent. It might be a phrase, right? Notice it, comment on it, call attention to it. My colleague pointed out a problem. You can point out a problem, point out a mistake, right? Point something out. Also pay attention with phrasal verbs, which ones take an object and which ones are separable, right? Often when you have a pronoun object like something, you separate the phrasal verb. Point something out. We don't say, yeah, point out something. You could, but it sounds a little odd. Okay? Address, call attention to. Thank you, Stunning Lad. Here we go. Number 5. Fast. Don't take on too much work. In more careful speech, don't take on too much work. What's the one phrasal verb? Yeah, Manuel, people do say that in etiquette. It's not polite to point at people. But so look at the difference. You can point at something, but we point something out. We point at and point to. We use those prepositions. In the phrasal verb, though, it's just point out. Number 5, the phrasal verb was, yes, Manuel got it. Take on. Thank you. Jennifer wrote it correctly. Good punctuation. Don't take on too much work. Kenneth, you got it? So take on is handle, assume, right? If I'm telling you, don't take on too much work, don't try to handle too much work, don't assume too much responsibility, meaning more than you're able to handle, more than you're able to commit to. So take on work, take on responsibility. It's good to take on some, right? Responsibility, but don't take on too much. So I'd say take on is about handling, assuming, trying to deal with, take on. Take on, you work with, you're doing it. Yeah, make sure you only do take on, Manuel, not with a preposition, right? No, you don't take on with, but you take on too much work. If I'm worried about you, I'm saying, I think you're taking too much on. Slow down a little bit. Take it easy. Don't take on too much work. All right, number 6, here's a challenge. This one has 2 phrasal verbs. Can you hear them? I'll say them fast. Number 6, a problem came up, but luckily we found out in time to avoid a disaster. There were 2 phrasal verbs. Yes, Vitali. Take on staff. You can take on staff if you're hiring, possibly. Okay. Good idiom. I used the past tense came up. More slowly. A problem came up, but luckily we found out in time to avoid a disaster. Super, you guys got them. You're hearing the phrasal verbs. Who can write the whole sentence? I'll say it slowly again. A problem came up, but luckily we found out in time to avoid a disaster. That's a long one. I know it's a challenge to type, but it is a necessary skill, right? You have to type to text, to do emails. So it's important to learn where all those letters are on your keyboard. Do you want me to write it? Oh, good. A problem came up, comma, but luckily we found out in time to avoid a disaster. So Abdelaziz Mustafa, make sure it's not that, but. A problem came up, comma, but luckily we found out in time to avoid a disaster. You are a fast typer. Okay, when something comes up, what's a good equivalent? A problem came up, a problem occurred or arose. arose. Well, it's more formal, more academic. It's more conversational to say a problem came up, something came up, meaning something occurred, something arose, a problem arose, a problem occurred. Luckily, we found out, we discovered. When you find something out, you learn about it, you discover. Come up, find out. Yes, Clarina, you got it. If you're writing with punctuation, you do comma but. Oh, ferret out. Ferret out, Manuel, implies a bit more digging, like, and you had to work to get it. It could also be that someone was trying to protect or hide that knowledge from you, and you had to get it. Because a ferret is a little animal that digs in the ground, right? So you need to work to get that information. Gave rise to is a bit different, like it led to, that would be different. Okay. All right, number 7, one phrasal verb. Here we go, fast speech. The problem turned out to be minor. More slowly, more carefully. Number 7, the problem turned out to be minor. Is it Bhagyashri? You got it. Turn out, super, super. And I use the past tense. The problem turned out to be minor. When something turns out a certain way, it proves to be that way. It can turn out well, it can turn out badly. It can turn out to be a major problem. It can turn out to be a minor problem. So if something turns out a certain way, it proves to be that thing. So you always have to explain how something occurred. How did it happen? The problem turned out to be minor. Super. Farrell Alvin Carr, you got it. Everything will turn out okay. Everything will work out. There's another good phrasal verb in that situation. When there are problems, you have to believe everything will work out, right? The problem turned out to be minor. Super. So turn out means prove to be. Number 8, big challenge so far. We're going to listen for 3 phrasal verbs. 3, okay? Fast speech. When I come back, we can pick up where we left off. You guys are putting great notes in there. More slowly. When I come back, we can pick up where we left off. 3 phrasal verbs. Come back. What else? Pick up, left off. You got it. Kakakiri, you got it. When I come back, we can pick up where we left off. What is the person saying? When I come back, when I return, we can pick up, we can continue, right? When you pick up, you continue. Where we left off, where we stopped, right? If you stop for a short time, when you stop temporarily, and then you continue, you can say, let's pick up where we left off. Again, when I come back, we can pick up where we left off, meaning when I return, we can continue from that point where we stopped the last time. When I come back, we can pick up where we left off. That's a great question. In a meeting, in a lesson, if you want to make sure that everyone is starting from the same point, you can say, okay, so where did we leave off? Or let's pick up from here, right? Let's start from here. Let's continue from here. 3 good ones. Pick up, take. We can, when I come back, we can pick up where we left off. Pick up. Yes, you can pick things up and make things tidy, but in this sense, when you pick up, you are continuing your activity. right? You could also use it in terms of speed or accelerating the pace, like business is picking up, right? Meaning things are starting to be more active. So there's the suggestion of movement, progress. Okay, number 9, 2 phrasal verbs. We almost gave up, but we ended up finding a solution. What were they? More carefully. We almost gave up, but we ended up finding a solution. Number 9, what are the 2 phrasal verbs? Good, gave up. End up. We almost gave up, right? We almost quit. We almost gave up, but we ended up finding a solution. We finally found it. When you end up doing, notice the grammar, you end up doing, end up having, end up being. So you need that ing form. If you end up doing something, you finally do it. We ended up finding a solution. We eventually or finally found a solution. We almost gave up, right? We were ready to quit, but we finally found a solution. We ended up finding a solution. Super. Okay. A lot of these phrasal verbs, I bet, are familiar to some of you. The question is, are you using them correctly, accurately, and naturally? So these are all good examples for you. You can create your own too for practice. Okay. Super. We're moving on to number 10, fast speech. Listen for 1 phrasal verb. The director took out one of the actor's lines. More carefully. The director took out one of the actor's lines. Vitaly, out of those, I would say wind up is the closest. Ended up, winded up, like we wound, yeah. Yep, you got it. I used the past tense, took out. The director took out one of the actor's lines. We'll see if someone can type that in full. The director took out one of the actor's lines. If the director has power and authority to make changes, what did the director do? The director took out one of the actor's lines. The director removed. Well, the challenge, we still have more challenges ahead of us. We're at number 10. We're going up to 25. You guys are doing awesome. Yep. Omitted, removed, right? The director has the authority to make those kinds of changes. He doesn't like a line, they might cut it out and say, let's not put that in, that scene. The director took out one of the actor's lines. Good, Julia. Super. Take something out is to remove it. All right, number 11, 1 phrasal verb. We need to work hard in order to make up for lost time. We need to work hard in order to make up for lost time. Make up, you guys got it. You heard it. Make up. You can technically put in another particle. Make up for something. We need to work hard in order to make up for lost time. If you lost time and now you're trying to work hard, why are you working harder than usual? To compensate for lost time. So here's a great example of more conversational phrasal verbs versus more academic words. To make up for lost time is to compensate for lost time, right? It happens, right? You get sick, you miss the weekend, you have a test coming up, so you need to study and make up for lost time. It happens at work too. Maybe you had to take an afternoon off for family obligations, and now you need to make up that time. You need to make up for the hours that you missed. So when you're making up for lost time, you're compensating for that lost time. We need to work hard in order to make up for lost time with an O. Lost time. Very good. Super, guys. Great note taking. Number 12, 2 phrasal verbs. Here we go. I figured out the meaning of the word without looking it up. More slowly, more carefully. I figured out the meaning of the word without looking it up. Notice that even when I slow down, I still have the rhythm, I still use linking, that's still present. I figured out the meaning of the word without looking it up. Figured out, looking up. So pay attention to the grammar. Figure out the meaning. Figure something out, look something up. These are transitive phrasal verbs. They take an object and we separate them if we have a pronoun subject or pronoun object, right? Figure out the meaning, figure the meaning out, look something up. When you figure something out, you determine what it is, right? It's good to look up words in a dictionary. You consult a dictionary, but sometimes you can just look at the sentence and determine what the definition is for yourself. So when you figure something out, you're determining what it is, what the answer is. To figure out is to determine, and when you look something up, it could be a dictionary, but generally you're just consulting some kind of resource, right? These days, most of the time, we just say, just Google it, right? Google is a verb, just Google it. But you can look it up in a learner's dictionary. All of these phrasal verbs are in learner's dictionaries. You can look them up and find great examples and other meanings too. Figure out means determine, look it up means to consult a dictionary or other resource. Figure out. You think carefully and then you determine what the answer is. Yes. Can you figure out? We weren't able to figure out where the money came from. Good example. Okay. Number 13, here we go. Listen for one phrasal verb. No homeowner wants the value of their house to go down. I have some fast typers here. I'm impressed. Julia and Farah, Alvin Carr, you're awesome. More carefully, no homeowner wants the value of their house to go down. Good, go down. What does this mean? What is the one word equivalent of go down? No homeowner wants the value of their house to go down. To what? Good stickers too. What is the one word equivalent? Go up, go down are opposites. So what are the more academic words? The more formal words. You could talk about going up, prices going up, prices going down. So yes, you can use them in like business English. You can use phrasal verbs in business English. I like your stickers. Depreciate, excellent word. Devalue, how about just increase and decrease? When something goes up, it increases. When something goes down, it decreases. Increase, decrease. No homeowner wants the value of their house to decrease, right? We don't want to lose value in our property if you own something. Tear down is more about destroying or taking apart. So like, you know, if there's an old building and nobody lives in it or uses it, the city or the town might decide to tear it down, take it apart, which is different. Go down. Depreciate in value. Excellent. Clarina, yes. Let's go with decrease. Number 14, here we go. 2 phrasal verbs. Listen for them. Fast speech. Only a few people showed up for the meeting, but it all worked out. Nice word, fluctuate. I don't know if there's a phrasal verb for fluctuate. Fluctuating is changing, right? Going up and down. Can't think of one off the top of my head. More carefully, number 14. Only a few people showed up for the meeting, but it all worked out. Good. Showed up, work out. Super, super. You hear them. Okay. The question is, are you catching them the first time? That's the challenge for those of you who are more advanced. Test your ears. I'm hoping that you understand from the first reading. Those of you, especially if you're less familiar with phrasal verbs, I know that you're waiting for the second reading to fully understand. Only a few people showed up. When people show up, they appear, they arrive. Let's go with appear, because people can show up, but things can show up, right? Like certain things can show up, they appear, they come to our attention. So when people show up, they appear. How many people showed up, right? Maybe a lot, maybe a little. In this case, only a few people appeared. A few people showed up for the meeting, but it all worked out. It all proved to be successful. Like everything was okay. It proved to be successful. Show up, work out, right? In these cases, these phrasal verbs do not take an object. People showed up. It all worked out. Leçon saber, to turn up is also, that's more transitive, like you turn up the volume, right? Then you can increase the volume. Okay, I know some ads are jumping in here. Just tap the skip button. Okay, you guys are doing super well. We're halfway through, okay? And we are on number 15 already. Number 15. Listen for the phrasal verb in fast speech. You need to stand up for what you believe in. More carefully, you need to stand up for what you believe in. You need to stand up for what you believe in. Abdelaziz Mustafa, you got it. Stand up. Let's go back to Manuel's comment. Out of the blue, that's nice if you want to emphasize how unexpected it was. Like maybe you expected 15 people to show up, but only maybe 18. 3 people out of the blue showed up. 3 more people that you did not expect to arrive appeared at the meeting. So out of the blue is unexpected. Going back to the other comment, Vitali, you wrote, show up, turn up. It's similar to came up, turn up. Something came up. If it's a problem, we use come up. Something came up, turned up. Usually if you lose something and you've looked everywhere and then 3 days later it turns up, I don't know, in a drawer, in a desk, in a corner of your house, that's when it appears unexpectedly. So if someone loses something and they've looked everywhere and they cannot find it, you could reassure them and say, oh, don't worry, it will turn up somewhere, meaning it will appear somewhere. I'm not sure about rock and pitch up. Okay, Jennifer Wong, thank you for writing that. You guys got good ears. You need to stand up for what you believe in. When you stand up for something, what does that mean? You need to stand up for something, stand up for your friends, stand up for what you believe in. I do think there's a one-word equivalent. Advocate, that's good. Defend, I would choose defend. But advocate, yes, that works too. You need to defend what you believe in and advocate for what you believe in. Advocate is more active. Defend is if someone attacks your principles or something, then you say, no, that's not right. Advocate is taking that initiative, not just reacting or responding to some situation. Okay. 16, listen for the phrasal verb. Success often comes down to making a consistent effort. Oh, I like that. Have courage in your convictions. Vitaly, I don't know. I'll say in American English, I don't know about rock up and pitch up unless there's new slang that I'm not aware of, which is possible, but I don't recognize them easily. Okay. You guys have it, but listen, stand up for had 3 parts, right? Some phrasal verbs, a lot of phrasal verbs have the verb and a particle, but there are phrasal verbs with verb plus 2 particles. Stand up for something. I said success often comes down to making a consistent effort. Comes down to something. Comes down to what? Often these phrasal verbs with 2 particles, we don't separate. The object follows, right? Stand up for something comes down to what? Success often comes down to making a consistent effort. In this sense, we're focusing on the most essential thing, the most important thing. We're saying what it depends on. So we use comes down to say it depends on the most important thing, and that is this. Right? Making a consistent effort. So depends on what? Depends on the most important thing. Success often comes down to making a consistent effort. Comes down to, You know what, Manuel? You might be thinking of come down with. Came down with the flu. That happens with illnesses, like especially the flu. Came down with the flu. You might hear it with COVID, something like that, right? Come down with. But this one, come down to, you state what's most important. When you're making a decision where to go to college, it comes down to financial aid, right? Or buying a house, it comes down to location. Something that's important to you. Comes down to what? Okay. Different from go down. All right, number 17. You guys are on a roll here. You're doing super, super. Okay, number 17. Looking back, I know I shouldn't have gone ahead without permission. 2 phrasal verbs. More carefully. Looking back, I know I shouldn't have gone ahead without permission. Boils down to works. You got it, my fast typer. If you're writing with punctuation, looking back, comma, I know I shouldn't have gone ahead without permission, period. Right? We're using a reduced adverb clause, like as I look back, or when I look back, looking back, I know I shouldn't have gone ahead without permission. When you look back, what are you doing? What are you thinking about? What's the one-word equivalent? And gone ahead. You guys, good. You're catching all the phrasal verbs. Let's make sure we understand the meaning. When you look back, you're reflecting. Looking back on my past, looking back on my childhood, or simply looking back means reflecting. Upon reflection, we might use that phrase in more formal English. Upon reflection, but looking back. I know I shouldn't have gone ahead. I shouldn't have proceeded. I shouldn't have continued or moved forward. So look back is about reflecting. Go ahead means to proceed. And in a formal situation, someone would say proceed, right? In a court, the judge would tell a lawyer to continue, proceed, right? Go ahead is more casual, more conversational. In hindsight, there's a nice phrase. Which part of are you asking, Alan, which part of the language? Your ultimate goal is to understand both conversational and more formal English for academic and business professional situations, because you need to adjust your speech depending on your purpose and your audience. There's times where we speak more casually and informally, and there's times where we need to increase the formality of our language, right? Depending on our purpose and who we're interacting with. So you really do need familiarity with both. So as you study phrasal verbs, you do want to know equivalence. As I said, phrasal verbs do move, they are definitely used in business English, professional English. They do appear in academic English as well, to a degree. But generally, a lot of phrasal verbs are idiomatic and conversational. So the more phrasal verbs you have, it's probably more of a conversational tone. You do want to know the equivalence, because if you're going for a more formal register, if you want to speak or write more formally, you're going to say things like reflecting, in hindsight, upon reflection, rather than looking back. Proceed rather than go ahead, right? Hey, good evening. Someone just joined us. Okay, so number 17 was looking back, reflecting. I know I shouldn't have gone ahead. I shouldn't have proceeded without permission. 18, this one is short and sweet. Can you hear it? Here we go. I went up to the register and paid. Slowly. I went up to the register and paid. Yep. Go up. Usually go up to someone, go up to a place. What's the one word equivalent? Right? If the teacher is at the front of the classroom and the child goes up to the teacher. Or in a store setting, there's the register. The customer goes up to the register to pay or to ask a question. What is go up to a place? We're not talking about increasing here. What are we saying? Right? You might encourage a friend who wants to ask someone out on a date, or just start a conversation with someone they're interested in romantically. He's like, go up. Just go up and say hi. Right? What are you telling them to do? Approach. Exactly. Approach. So I approached the register and paid. Right? But more conversationally, and definitely in more everyday English, I went up. I went up to the register and paid. 19, ready? Sorry for the delay. I don't know what's holding things up. Super. More slowly. Sorry for the delay. I don't know what's holding things up. You're missing a preposition, Abdelaziz. Sorry for the delay. Sorry for the delay in fast speech for sorry for the delay. Sorry for the delay, period. I don't know what's holding things up. Manuel, yes, you got the important object. Holding things up, right? This is a separable phrasal verb. What's holding things up? Similar to slow down. Yes. If something is holding up a process or holding up whatever thing that you want to achieve, it's causing a delay. So holding things up, what's delaying things? What's causing the delay? So you can imagine a situation in a business setting, a client is wondering why the service is not being rendered, not being performed quickly or efficiently, and someone needs to apologize to the client and say, I'm very sorry for the delay. I don't know what's holding things up. They have to find out what the holdup is. A lot of phrasal verbs also then lead to a noun, a compound noun. What's the holdup? Meaning, what's the delay? What's the holdup? Very informal, though. In more formal English, I would say, what's the reason for the delay? What is causing this delay? But again, 19 is sorry for the delay. I don't know what's holding things up. I don't know what the delay is. I don't know. I don't know what's holding things up. I don't know what is holding things up. Make sure you get the grammar there. Hold, brother-in-law of keep. I'm not sure I understand that reference, Manuel. I'm trying to keep up with all the comments to my best ability here, Alan. Hold up. Yes, hold up could be support, like what's holding you up. You know, maybe it's figuratively, it could be your courage, your inner strength that's holding you up. But also, you know, if the Christmas tree is leaning and starting to fall, you might find a way to hold it up and keep it straight. Okay. I will talk about learning opportunities towards the end, guys. Okay, let me read that again because I haven't seen someone type the correct wording in number 19. Sorry for the delay, period. I don't know what's holding things up. Okay. All right, we're in the home stretch, guys. Number 20. You guys are awesome, awesome. Listen for the phrasal verb. She managed to turn her life around. More carefully, she managed to turn her life around. Manuel, good context. You can get held up in traffic. Get held up, be held up. You're using it as in a passive construction. Number 20, she managed to turn her life around. Yes, turn around. Turn her life around. Thank you, Small Talk. You corrected the wording for us. Thank you. If she managed to turn her life around, it meant that things were not going well, and now she changed it for the better. She improved it. So when you turn something around, you change it for the better, and you make it work well, right? You can turn a project around, a business that's failing and losing money, and things look grim and sad. You can turn things around, and then it becomes healthy, right? And profits go up, everyone's happy. But our lives can be like that too. We face difficulties and things seem horrible, like, oh my gosh, everything's not going the way I need it to. And then you find a way to turn things around. You change the direction and you start growing. You start succeeding and being happier. So you can turn your life around. You can turn a business around. Turn things around. We can separate that phrasal verb. You change it for the better. Right? You can imagine a time in your life when things were not going well, but you managed to turn things around. You turned your life around. Make sure, Def Allah Ben Hamad, it's sorry for the delay. Okay? I know prepositions are tricky, but you have to learn like sorry for, apologize for, right? Sorry for the delay. All right, number 21. I can take over if you're getting tired. More carefully. I can take over if you're getting tired. And what situation might this be, used in? I can take over if you're getting tired. Fast speech, I can take over if you're getting tired. When you take over for someone, what are you doing? That person is doing something, they're in control. And if you want to take over, you want to assume control. You want them to pass control over to you. So to take over for someone is to take control, take their place, and do what they've been doing. So you can take over for someone. I imagine this situation to be in a car, like when we drive a distance. Now that my son has his driver's license, my daughter's getting hers, it's nice to give the other person a break, right, from driving. They're tired behind the wheel, and you could say after the first or second hour, if you're getting tired, I can take over, right? I can take over if you're getting tired. I can assume control of the car, relieving them of their duty. Very nice. Take over. It could also be used in a situation where one company takes over another, right? They buy the company and then new management enters. New management comes in and takes control of everything. They take over. But take over. All right, just a few more. Number 22. The company decided to bring in a specialist. Slowly, number 22. The company decided to bring in a specialist. So it's important. Think about 21, 22, how they're different, right? The company decided to bring someone in. It could be separable. Bring someone in. They brought in a specialist. The company decided to bring in a specialist. What did they do? They hired someone to do a special job, a specific job. So to bring someone in is to hire them because they have some sort of specific skill or ability. So you bring someone in when you hire them to do a specific job. And then that person might take over a project that has not been done successfully. So maybe a project is not going well and there's no one within the company who can really take over. Then you bring someone in and that person can take over, right? So these phrasal verbs can work together. Hire, recruit, I like those words. That's desire to take over, getting tired. Bring up is different. Bring up is like to mention, right? Like to bring up a new topic, bring up a question, a matter for someone's consideration. Vitaly, I like your example. The new chairman will take over next month, right? So when you have a new person coming on staff, especially a person in authority, they assume control. They assume their role or their position at a certain time. It could be a new position, or they could be taking over for someone who's retiring, or perhaps that person is being replaced, right? Okay, you guys are awesome. All right, number 23. Listen for two phrasal verbs. Ready? Fast speech. How do you put up with someone who looks down on everyone? More carefully, more slowly. 23. How do you put up with someone who looks down on everyone? Alan, to answer your question, I believe all the parts of language work together. You can't learn vocabulary without paying attention to grammar. And you need, and grammar, they all work together. Even pronunciation. Awareness of grammar helps you with pronunciation too, right? Vocabulary is not just learning a word, it's learning how to use it, right? And that involves learning the patterns, the grammatical patterns with it. Okay, number 23, look down on, good. Put up with, you guys, super, super. Okay, the whole sentence is a question. How do you put up with someone who looks down on everyone? We have two more phrasal verbs with three parts, a verb and two particles. Put up with, look down on. Okay, as I said, these longer phrasal verbs have an object they go after, they're not separable. To put up with someone is to tolerate, deal with, right? When there are people with disagreeable personalities and characters, sometimes we don't have a choice. We have to put up with them, right? We have to tolerate being with them because it's our work situation, for example, right? Maybe they're a coworker, maybe it's family, a difficult relative. You have to put up with their bad moods or something. So you can put up with something, you can put up with someone. How do you put up with someone? How do you tolerate someone who looks down on everyone? This is a negative meaning. What does it mean if someone is looking down on everyone else? Yes, disrespect. How do you put someone who looks down on Julia, thank you for writing it correctly. So I'd say put up with is tolerate, and look down on is disrespecting or showing disrespect. If you look down on others, you have no respect for others and you show disrespect. You have these thoughts that you're superior and they're inferior. You're better than they are. How do you put up with someone who looks down on everyone? Clarina, good. Yes, you consider someone or something inferior. How do you put up with someone who looks down on everyone? And notice the stress, by the way. If there are 3 parts, which part am I stressing? How do you put up with someone who looks down on everyone? Right? So I'm not putting stress on the last particle, I'm putting stress on the first. How do you put up with someone who looks down on everyone? 2 more. You're doing awesome. 24. I hate to bring this up, but this isn't the first time he refused to carry out instructions. It's a long one. Belittle? Yep. Belittle is more like going out of your way to make people feel bad and small, but looking down is just like, that's your opinion of people. Like, ugh. You may not be so vocal about it, but you still have these feelings of superiority. Okay, let me read 24 more slowly. I hate to bring this up, but this isn't the first time he refused to carry out instructions. Oh, Abdel Aziz Mustafa, you are awesome. High and mighty, good phrase. Bring up, carry out. Julia, you heard it correctly. I hate to bring this up. I hate to mention it. So when you bring something up, you mention it. But this isn't the first time he refused to carry out instructions. He refused to follow, execute. Again, we have one word equivalence. When you bring something up, you mention it, right? For consideration. You want to discuss it. To bring up is to mention. To carry out is to follow or execute. Yes, you can raise a matter for discussion. Bring something up, mention it. Raise it for discussion. Carry out, execute. All right, guys, last one. As we're winding down, there's another phrasal verb. 25, I don't want to take up more of your time. More carefully, I don't want to take up more of your time. Good typing there. Take up. I don't want to take up more of your time. You got it. Take up. Jennifer Wong. Yep. Clarina. Y'all. Vitali. Super. Yes. Brooch is more formal. Take up. Mahipa. You got it. I don't want to use or waste. We'd often say like waste. Like I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to take up more of your time. But taking up is literally using. Right? It's a very nice phrase. If you're apologetic, you're speaking to a professor, a boss, a manager, and, or even a colleague, and you need their help, but you feel badly that you're also taking time away from other things that they could be doing, but you still want to talk to them about something that's important to you. So I'm so sorry. I don't mean to take up so much of your time, but I have this question. take up time, take up more of your time, take up too much time, take up what? Okay? Super job. We went through 25 dictations. Super, super, super. So let me show you something. Let me see if I can get this going. Where am I? Boop, boop, boop. Okay, so here we are. Now I'm going to share my webcam and screen. I think you, oopsies, I didn't mean to do that. Hello. Let's go back. Okay, guys, just a reminder, I have a few different playlists on phrasal verbs. This is one that I started a while ago, but I do hope that possibly I could finish it this year because I'm going to change the format. This is a playlist of the most common phrasal verbs in American English, spoken and academic English. I was first doing 3 at a time. For a good reason, because I wanted to show you the importance of reviewing. Like if you go to 34, 36, I take time to review previous phrasal verbs, and we go over, review, more than one meaning, because there are a lot of phrasal verbs that have multiple meanings. That's another challenge of phrasal verbs. So most of what we were doing today comes from this playlist, right? Turn out, end up, take out, right? Carry out. So these are the first 48 phrasal verbs, the first 48. And what I'm doing now, in a week or so, I just filmed yesterday, so it'll take me some time to prepare. We're going to have a new lesson. It'll be a longer video, so it'll take me time to make it because I want to tackle a larger group. Okay, so it is up to you to make sure that you're reviewing. We just did a very nice review of 1 through 48, most of them. I'm going to be sharing another larger set of phrasal verbs so we can get through this list faster. There are about 150 phrasal verbs on this list. I am doing this based on the research of Dylan Liu. I'll give him credit because I got in touch with him when I went to a presentation at the TESOL convention a few years back. And when I realized he had compiled and done the research and found the 150 most common phrasal verbs, I asked, like, could I base a playlist on your research? So that's what's guiding me as I do it. I look at his research and I'm choosing the phrasal verbs that have been identified as the most common phrasal verbs in American English. They're used both in spoken and in academic English. So I'm using Dylan Liu's. He worked together with Daniel Myers. I'm basing my work on their research. Okay. If you like listening to my voice and you think it's a good model, I just want to remind you that one of my free downloads is my movie power pack. It's a fluency pack based on movie reviews. A lot of you have already downloaded it. Thank you. Thank you. If you haven't, this is the link. Let me just go choot. I'll put it in the chat there for you. Let me see if I can do the right thing. Where is it? There it is. Boop. Okay. Okay. Sorry, I'm not fast enough. But this is a free download. Just enter your email, click, boom, you get the download. There's MP3 recordings, PDF texts. These are movie reviews, so hopefully the content will be engaging. You'll learn some vocabulary or review vocabulary. Some of that vocabulary includes phrasal verbs, but the idea is that you're listening to my model and you want to become very familiar with my speech so that you understand everything. So you want to listen multiple times until you understand very well. Right? So if you want to improve your listening and vocabulary, this is a free download. Please check that out. Okay. The other things I want to invite you to, as usual, my members here on YouTube, it's just like 99 cents a month, guys. But one of the nice little perks is that after a live stream, I create some follow-up tasks. So the follow-up task today will be on some phrasal verbs. And they also get a short weekly quiz. So there's a little extra that you get if you're a member of my channel here on YouTube. The bigger upgrade is to come to Patreon. On Patreon, there are different levels. The level that I'd love you to consider in 2025, if you are B2 and higher, is that of a lifelong learner. Okay, lifelong learners have Zoom classes with me. We focus on different topics. They get pre and post lesson tasks. So there are tasks throughout the month that you do, and then you correct yourself or I correct you depending on the nature of the task. You also have access to all previous posts. There is a lot up there. There's a lot already archived, both in terms of recordings and previous tasks. So you immediately get access to a lot of materials as a lifelong learner. You'll get to interact with other people in our growing community. There's private messaging with me that people can use for various reasons. We focus on all skills. When people say, what about speaking? What about vocabulary? I believe they're all important. This is not a speaking club. If you're looking for a speaking club, this is not what I'm offering, because I believe in focusing on all skills. We do speaking, writing, listening. We do focus on grammar. This is for B2+. I focus on all skills because I believe in language as a whole. And I want to make you confident communicators no matter how you're communicating, whether it's through writing or speaking. We focus on all skills. I let the members help me decide what to focus on each month specifically. We voted and it became Q&A, like how to ask questions and give answers in the flow of conversation. So it's a lot about starting and sustaining conversations. So if you want to work on your conversation skills in January, this is the opportunity for you to join. We have a couple Zoom classes coming up in January. It's a great time to join. So you can sign up today and consider that on Patreon. Let me go back here and just go back to my webcam and see if there are any final questions. Okay. Where's Natasha? Natasha is in another state. If you saw my post, follow me on social media. When I went to my conference in Tampa, I was in Florida back in March, and then I met up with Natasha, who's not too far away, and I had not seen her in so long, and we had a wonderful visit. I stayed with her family, and I visited Natasha in Florida. That's where she lives. We were not able to continue the series because her family moved away, first to another city in Massachusetts and then down to Florida. So, but then we started with Flavia and Andrea, and then COVID stopped that series, but I'm still in touch with Flavia and Andrea too. Follow me on social media and you'll sometimes see my posts when I meet with those lovely ladies, okay? What I do advise you as intermediate students is to please continue working with my public videos. There are a lot of videos here on YouTube. When there are tasks, do them. When you have questions, post them. Intermediate students are welcome to become channel members and get additional practice on the community tab, okay? So, yes. I'm going to say good night to those in other parts of the world, and wishing other people who are just starting the day like me a wonderful day ahead. Thank you everyone for taking the time to be with me today. I'm excited to share more learning opportunities with you in 2025, and I wish you and your family all the very best. All right. Thank you guys. Awesome job on the 25 dictations. Thank you. Bye. Oh, I see it, Stunning Lad. Yay. Thank you, Stunning Lad 1. I see the gift. I'm sorry, I just took notice of it. Thank you.